Hello everyone, I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, joined by the one, the only Sam Lucchini. Sam, we've got a very special Monday mailbag for you guys today. Your New York Yankees are 88-68. They're 20 games over 500, and we decided to take questions from you guys following their series win in Baltimore. Sam, how you doing today, and how you feeling going into this mailbag?
Shout out Monday Mailbag. We're back, baby. Yanks are playing incredible baseball right now. Ryan, it's great to be back with you. I think this is like fourth or fifth edition of this episode that we've been doing. It's a lot of fun every week, getting the questions in from you guys. Thank you guys again very much for all of your submissions. I had about 20 to 25 questions that we sifted through this week. We ended up picking 4. Obviously, I like to take certain questions and then we expand them into kind of longer form answers because we kind of like to deep dive into what's going on with this team and the topics and all that kind of stuff. And obviously right now, guys are getting down to the wire. Like 88-68. They're 2 games out of first place. Like, the division title is not completely out of the bag. I think it's going to be really difficult for them. They obviously have the 6 games left, and Toronto has to completely fall on their face for them to win the division. However, it's not impossible. I'll tell you that right now. So it's not impossible. I kind of have my hopes up. But they somehow gained a game, and they're playing incredible baseball right now. They've gotten some awesome performances. Shout out Ben Rice yesterday. I know that we're probably not going to talk about him too much on this episode, but that was an unbelievable game yesterday. Like, you just never thought they were going to win. But Yanks take 3 out of 4 in Baltimore. They've been playing good baseball as of late. They're one of the hottest teams in baseball heading into October, which is what you want to see. And yeah, Ryan, let's get into it. Let's talk some ball. I'm really happy with this team right now, and I'm honestly really excited for October.
Yeah, I am too. And again, as you mentioned, the division is not out of reach. And I think when we get into the final week of the year, that just makes the games all that more exciting and a little less stressful knowing that the Yankees aren't too far away from clinching that playoff spot. But we'll get things started with a question from Aaron Riff 97, who says, what can we attribute Devin Williams' turnaround to? What has been the change for his comeback? Now, Sam, this is your guy, low-lev turned high-lev Dev. What have you seen from Devin Williams which has allowed him to be so effective, so trustworthy as of late in the midst of a disastrous season?
It's dominance. I think that you will probably have a better answer than I will. This is obviously my guy. Low-lev Dev turns into high-lev Dev. The character arc is unbelievable with this dude, but as we've seen kind of over the past month, that changeup has really turned back into that wiffle ball type pitch. It looks disgusting. Nobody can necessarily hit it. And I think that kind of building up his confidence, and again, with the low-lev Dev thing, you pop him in the 5th inning, you pop him in the 6th inning, and like spots where he doesn't necessarily have to be the best pitcher on the planet, and you can kind of ease off. They're up 5 or 6 runs, or like whatever the case may be. You build up that guy's confidence from the beginning of the year when he was in some really tight spots. He was closing games for the Yankees. Again, not the best at the beginning of the year, but over the past month, you're kind of seeing him creep up into the low-lev, then it goes to the high-lev, and he's dominant in that 8th inning role. Right now, outside of this bullpen unit, I think probably 2 months ago we talked to Devin Williams. We did the reliever trust tree. Devin Williams was not even close to the top of that. We had him at like 6, like whatever it was. And outside of this bullpen unit right now, outside of David Bednar, I think that Devin Williams is probably the guy in this bullpen that you trust the most, which is insane. And if you would have told me that 3 months ago that heading into October, I had the most faith in Devin Williams outside of what he was doing, you would call me a nut job, because it's like that guy was consistently blowing games for you during the summer. And people talk about, oh, well, if he wasn't, so bad in the middle of the summer that they would be in first place, yada, yada, yada. I don't really care. Like, I care that you're good right now and heading in October. If you're going to be one of the best relievers on the planet, do it in October. I don't care what you do in June. Do it in October. And with the struggles of like Luke Weaver and like Tim Hill's been kind of weird, and like you look at Devin as a piece that I'm going to throw him into a tight playoff game, and I think I'm very comfortable throwing Devin Williams into a tight spot in a playoff game, him and Bednar, compared to the other guys. So I think that I have a lot more faith in him right now as a reliever for this team heading into the postseason. And it's just like you watch him and he dominates hitters, Ryan. He strikes out the side consistently. His FIP is like 0.3 over the past like month. What is this guy? It's not the same person that we saw a couple months ago. I know that you probably have stuff that you want to dive into very specifically. I know you're big with the numbers. I'm not. That's not necessarily my forte. So I'm going to let you rip. Tell me about Devin, some of the changes that he's made and what he's been doing over the past couple of months to kind of turn into high-level Dev, be one of the best relievers in ball.
Yeah, and as you mentioned with our trust tree, we ranked him pretty low on that list. It wasn't like we were looking at this guy like, oh, number 1, number 2, number 3, go on the name recognition, whatever it may be. But again, as you alluded to, he's been a different kind of pitcher. The strikeout rate is way up. He's striking out over 50% of his batters since August 10th. He has a negative FIP. I'm not sure I've ever seen a negative FIP. That is ridiculous. And for some of the changes we've seen, he's lowered his arm angle a little bit, so he's releasing the ball a little bit closer to the ground on his changeup. And as a result, it's getting a little more depth. His fastball's actually lost a little bit of ride, but I think that, and this might be, this is a little more of a theory here, but I'm under the impression that maybe that lower arm angle is making him a little more deceptive. Maybe the fastball having a little less ride is bringing it a little closer to the changeup in terms of the separation and vertical movement. Sometimes when you have such a large discrepancy in vertical movement, it might be easier for hitters to kind of read that. And I just think it's also course correction. This is a guy who has spent the majority of his career being in the conversation for being a top 2 or 3 reliever in the entire sport. And look, being in New York is tough because when you struggle, everyone knows you are the guy that everyone is going to know as the dude who's struggling. And we've seen great relievers go through this. He's not the only one. Josh Hader in 2022, his former teammate, was atrocious for the Padres when he first got there. He corrected course towards the end of the year. ERA was still above 5, but by the time they got to the postseason, he was a very valuable piece in their run to the NLCS. I'll look at an example from last year, and I'm sure I've made this comparison before, whether it's with Chris, whether it's with you here, Sam. But Clay Holmes' ERA, I know, wasn't as high as Devin Williams, but his win probability added, which I believe is more telling of your impact on games. He had a negative 1.42. Devin Williams, I think, is at a negative 0.12. So Devin Williams has cost you basically hasn't impacted games as a whole. The net average is barely a net negative. Clay Holmes cost you a baseball game and a half, basically. That's and I remember the high leverage moments where either his defense collapsed or he collapsed. But point is, when he was on the mound, bad things tended to happen last year, and the ERA was better than I think the impact suggested. He was very good in the postseason for the Yankees. He was a key part of that run. In fact, I would say he was the Yankees' second or third most relied upon reliever during that run. I think he pitched in 13 games, which, guys, the Yankees played 4 games in the first round, 5 games in the second round, and then 5 games in the World Series. They played 14 games, and he pitched in 13 of them. That's how much they relied on Clay Holmes in their route to the World Series, and I wouldn't sit here and tell you Clay Holmes is why the Yankees didn't win the World Series. So if Clay Holmes could correct course, and Clay Holmes was a good reliever for the Yankees, but he was not a consistent top 3 reliever every single year, there is no reason why Devin Williams cannot also do that. It's about getting hot for 1 month, Sam. And so, again, the material changes in his changeup and ultimately just the ability to get more swings and misses will make him a big weapon. Is there anything else you want to add on with Devin Williams?
Yeah, I love that you bring up the Clay Holmes thing, because when you kind of think back to that postseason last year, like you said, he pitched in 13 or 14 games, but he was a guy that last year blew 30-something odd saves, was absolutely horrible, gets plucked away from the closer role. Luke Weaver kind of steps in and becomes that guy and is awesome down the stretch for the Yankees. But then Clay Holmes in the postseason, they leaned on him unbelievably heavily. I remember he would come in 7th inning, 8th inning, and when I would see Clay Holmes come to the game, I didn't necessarily worry too much last year in the postseason because he had been so great in that role and had really thrived in what he was doing that I was like, okay, Holmes coming to the game, I think we're okay. That was not where the issue came from at all with Clay Holmes. And I think you kind of see what Devin Williams is. We're comparing Clay Holmes, who was a good closer for the Yankees for 1 or 2 years, right? And then we're talking about Devin Williams, who for the past 5 or 6 years has consistently been a top 5 reliever in the sport of baseball. This is a guy that you have in your bullpen. You're going to walk into October with him. And I just shout out to High Left Dev, man. Outside of David Bednar, I trust Devin Williams in this group the most to get me 3 outs. That's kind of the bottom line right now with this team. And I think that you have a lot of faith in that 8th and 9th inning. There's a lot of other bullpen questions that, I don't necessarily trust a lot of those guys that are in that group. But Bednar and Williams, I think, are going to lock it down for you in the postseason. So, feeling great about Dev. Shout out to him. He deserves it after all the slander we've kind of given him all year, man. But he's been awesome, man. I have no more notes on him. Shout out to Dev.
Yeah, and again, I'd like to just sit here and say when it comes to Devin Williams, guys, it's about getting hot for 1 month. And as Sam alluded to already, if you're going to be the best reliever in baseball or one of the best relievers in baseball, for the city of New York, there is perhaps no better time to do it than the postseason. If all sins can be erased in the postseason, we can absolve any sins of the regular season then. And I really hope that I can look back on my tweets being upset at Devin Williams and go, what an idiot. I would love to be wrong. It's one of those things where I would love to be wrong, Sam. But we'll move on to another question, and it's funny because in the same vein, it's talking about someone who was once scorned in New York. This is from Bent. It's Bentley, but with a 1 instead of an L. I like that. _F. And he goes, is Carlos Rodon a top 10 starter in the American League this year? So he's had a bounce back here. He's had a really strong year. But Sam, is he a top 10 starting pitcher in the American League?
He's second in innings pitched, 7th in ERA. He's going to hit 200 strikeouts. I think that it's very realistic that he is, and I love Carlos Rodon as a player. I love him as a human. I think he's an awesome dude, and I love watching him pitch because I love the redemption story. I'm a huge Giancarlo Stanton fan. I love the redemption story of when he came in and he got booed the entire first year. Everybody hated him for some reason. And now in this fan base, he's like everybody's most beloved player because he's unbelievable in the postseason. It's the same kind of thing with Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon, year one, comes in, doesn't necessarily pitch until July, posts like a 7 ERA. He's like the worst starter in that group. And you're like, oh my God, this is the player that we signed for $160 million in the offseason. He looks like a bust. He looks like the next Carl Pavano, like whatever it was, right? Year two comes out like high 3 ERA. You don't necessarily like trust him to a T. I know that you and I talked pre-show about we walked into the postseason last year like, damn, like we really wish that we could kind of rely on a second guy. And he had like weird implosions in the postseason where like I remember the Kansas City start where he was electric for 3 innings and, you know, he was sticking out the tongue of the mound and like then eventually like blew up in the 4th inning. And that was like a waste of a game at that point. It was awful. But Carlos Rodon, outside of this group, has been the most consistent pitcher in the starting rotation. Obviously, Max Fried, as dominant as he was at the beginning of the year, he had that weird lull in the summer where he was very poor. And I couldn't, you know, ask Max Fried to go out and give me a solid 6 and not give up 4 runs like in the middle of the summer. That's how that was. Carlos Rodon has consistently been the Yankees' best starter for the entirety of the 2025 season. And if you told me that 3 years ago, you wouldn't believe me, like at all, because he has been absolutely dominant. The biggest issue with him coming over from Chicago and then San Francisco was he would give up the home run ball too much. He's really, really limiting the home run ball this year as compared to years past. When he first came here, it was 2 home runs per 9. Last year was 1.5. Now it's down to 1. The strikeouts aren't necessarily where you want them to be, but this guy is still going to go out there. I know that every time that Carlos Rodon goes out, he's going to give me 6-2, or he's going to give me 6-3. He's going to give me a quality start every single time. And I think about this rotation now, going into 2026, you get Garrett Cole back, Carlos Rodon's your 3. And this is a player right now that I'm walking into the postseason that I'm unbelievably confident in as being my 2. I know that he's going to go out and give me a phenomenal start no matter what. Next year, he's going to come in as your 3 because you add Garrett Cole back. I think that this is one of my favorite players in the league. I think that the numbers suggest that he is a top 10 starting pitcher in the American League, and he's been consistent the entirety of the year. Max Fried, I think, has been the Yankees' best pitcher in spots, right? Like, dominated first. He had the 13 strikeout game the other day. Right now, he looks unbelievable, right? But as far as consistency, Carlos Rodon has been the peak of consistency for this Yankee rotation, and I couldn't ask for more from a third year of a 6-year contract from Carlos Rodon. He's been unbelievable. Ryan, what do you think about Rodon? I know that, you know, he's been a very integral part of this rotation. I kind of just went on a full spiel, like, because I love the guy. But what do you think about Rodon and the impact he's kind of given this Yankee team over the course of the 2025 season?
Yeah, Carlos Rodon's highest ERA in a month was 4.24 in July. So at worst, he has been a league average starter in any given month. The ability to consistently provide value, consistently give the Yankees a chance to win. I mean, the consistency part of it is truly what's excellent here. He has delivered so many quality starts. He has been, again, just a rock for this rotation. If you want to look at damage rate, which is quantified on StatCast, in the American League, he has the lowest damage rate allowed among American League pitchers. So that's incredible. This guy has gone from someone who was a home run dispensary, was batting practice for a lot of hitters in the American League, to someone who limits damage contact better than most guys. He's still a swing and miss pitcher. He still picks up a lot of strikeouts. The ability to mix things up. He's got a four-seamer, a sinker, a slider, a changeup, a curveball. I think the changeup is unlocked so much for him. Again, I've just been really, really impressed with the year he's had. I had high hopes for Rodon relative to expectation, or relative to the public, in terms of how well I value, or how highly I valued Carlos Rodon going into the year, but I didn't expect what he's done this year. And the innings pitched, he set it at career high in innings pitched at 189 and a third. I did not expect him to do that with the Yankees. He is going to have back-to-back years where he's made over 30 starts. That's the first time in his career. And again, just to kind of see his poise on the mound, you can never tell when he's allowed 4 runs in through 3 innings or when he struck out 6. Last year, I think that ALDS start, in a weird way, and this is because the Yankees advanced too, that was a good moment in his career. That was it. It's almost a canon event for him. It's something where I think he realized, he learned, channel your emotions, hone it all in, keep that poker face, stay even keeled, never get too high, never get too low, and that's defined Carlos Rodon's career. He's never gotten too high, he's never gotten too low. Even after his best starts, it's not like he's someone who, all right, I feel good about my fastball and I'm going to start challenging it down the middle. When he's not going well, it's not like he loses confidence in the ability to go after hitters. He's selective in who he walks. It's just, he is an intelligent pitcher and he has good stuff. It's very hard to find in this league. His pitch abilities come a long way. Sam, again, just all the flowers in the world to Rodon, and I hope he caps it off with a big playoff run. Sam, any final notes on Carlos Rodon?
Yeah, I know that we don't necessarily quantify pitcher wins as like a huge thing, right? Like you said, he's made 30 starts this year, which is unbelievable, but there's a reason why he has 17 wins. I don't like to look at that statistic and say like, oh, well, that should factor into a Cy Young conversation, or that should factor into how great a pitcher is, right? But I will tell you right now, the 17 wins is kind of a testament to how great he's been consistently over the course of the year. Like I mentioned earlier, he's going to give you, 6 innings of 2-run ball, but the Yankees are still going to go out there and score 4 runs, help him out, help them win the game. Carlos Rodon consistently keeps the Yankees in ball games, and the blow-ups are very inconsistent. You don't see him, it's not once a week he's going out and giving up 5 runs. I think I went through it earlier. There were 3 times this year where he kind of blew up and gave up like 4 to 5 runs, and it was like kind of like weird starts for him, right? But outside of that, Carlos Rodon keeps you in games and has kept the Yankees in games for the entirety of the 2025 season. And that 17 wins mark, I think, can be quantified as that. As like he's going to go out there and he's going to win you a baseball game, no matter what. And that's why I think the trust level that we have for him is so high, and that, compared relative to what he's been over the past 2 years, why the confidence level in the fan base in this guy is so high. So love him to death. He's been awesome this year, and I couldn't be prouder of him, kind of bouncing back from what he was 2 years ago. So, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, and kind of to wrap things up here with Rodon, the Yankee pitching staff, or the Yankee rotation, they have been top 3 in earned run average this year at 3.63. They're tied with the Dodgers for the third most rotation WAR on Fangraphs, and in terms of expected ERA, the Yankees are tied again with the Dodgers for the 5th best spot. So the Yankees have a top 5 rotation in baseball this year. When you lost Garrett Cole, that wasn't even a possibility to a lot of Yankee fans, and understandably so. The fact the Yankees have achieved this outcome, the fact that the Yankees have been this productive as a rotation, it is because of Max Fried and Carlos Rodon. And credit to Will Warren. He's made every start every 5th day. Cam Schlittler stepped up. Luis Seals battled through, not having great command, but he's found ways to at least keep the Yankees in games. But again, the credit really goes to those 2 guys who have anchored the top of the rotation and have been. Carlos Rodon isn't a 2. He's a number 2 by name, but he is a 1B to Max Fried's 1A. It is not a disrespect or disservice to Max Fried. It is a compliment to Carlos Rodon's excellence this season, and I couldn't be happier for the guy. He's the Yankees' Roberto Clemente nominee. The cause that him and his wife, talk about in terms of infertility, it's amazing. I'm just so happy they're part of the Yankee family now, and again, just super happy for Rodon. And now that we move on from Carlos Rodon, we can talk about another question that we seem to get pretty frequently, but I do think it's important to talk about each and every week. And it's from _151012 Cuevas, a lot of numbers. Do you think that the Yankees can be in the World Series? So, Sam, the New York Yankees are your reigning American League champions. They are currently in second place in the American League in both record and in their division, the American League East. Do you believe the New York Yankees can go to the World Series?
On paper, they're the best team in the American League. I think that you and I can probably both agree to that testament. I think that it's kind of all a matter of them getting it done. I think that, like I kind of talked about at the top of the show, they're hot when they need to be right now. And in this sport, it's about when you get hot. If you get hot down the stretch, it doesn't matter how many wins that you've had over the course of the year. Heading into October, if you're one of the hottest teams in baseball, you're going to go. Look at what's going on in Cleveland right now. They've been unbelievable for the past 2 to 3 weeks. And they were dead in the water. They sold at the deadline. But right now they're hot, and they're looking to take a spot from Detroit in the postseason because Detroit has been struggling like hell, right? They are going to get in because of how great they've been at the end. And I think that you can relate that to the Yankees. They've been one of the best teams in baseball. I think they have the best record in baseball over the past month or something like that. So when you look at that team on paper, they have everything that you need to be able to go out there and get back to the World Series relative to the rest of the teams in the American League. I don't think that there's a team in the American League that is as talented as the Yankees. I think it's all about them putting the pieces together and being great in October when they need to be. They can mash like hell. They can pitch. We just got done talking about the rotation. The only question that you really have is with the bullpen. I think that if that unit kind of steps up and you see dudes that, end up putting it all together in October, I think there's no shadow of a doubt that they can get back there at all. I think that they can hit from both sides of the plate. They can go with a platoon lineup against lefties and throw in Ahmed Rosario and throw in Austin Slater and whatever you want to do against a left-handed pitcher. And then against right-handed pitching, they'll just absolutely crush because the left-handed bats that they have are insane, right? So I don't think, again, we've been having this conversation for the last 3 to 4 weeks. On paper, they're talented. They're the most talented team in the American League. I don't think there's not a ton of teams that scare me, right? It's kind of all about them getting into the dance, putting it all together, and coming in when they need to be, and they need to have the right guys perform, mainly Big 99. So I think that they can do it. It's all about timing and them getting it done when they need to.
Yeah, and I say this as all the lawnmowers have decided to turn on their lawnmowers right now at this specific moment. Thank you. Shout out my neighborhood. But as you alluded to, the Yankees have the #1 offense in all of baseball in runs scored, in OPS, in runs per game, in OPS plus, in WRC plus, in home runs, etc., etc. They've become a much better base running team after the trade deadline. They've done things as a team, whether it's adding players like Jose Caballero or having already existing guys on the roster like Jazz Chisholm, Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe. We've seen Aaron Judge run a little bit more. Everyone's utilizing their speed a little bit more. This team is, in my opinion, by far the best offense in baseball. So I think this group is capable of scoring against anybody. For me, the question is the bullpen. I know, as you mentioned, Aaron Judge has to step up. That is obviously a big part of this equation as well. But in terms of guys who have not performed this year versus guys who have, it's in the bullpen. The offense is going to have some guys go cold and get hot. I'm not going to be stunned if, one of the group of Bellinger, Jazz, Rice, Trent, one of them goes cold. Because in baseball, not everyone's going to be hot. But I would be stunned. I want to be surprised in a pleasant way to see this bullpen do a job. The Yankees are going to have to win games where they score 3 runs. And if they can't, they're not going to win the World Series. It's just as simple as that. Look at the Royals series. The Yankees played a dogfight. They were in a dogfight all series. Won a game where I think they allowed 1 run. Won another game where I think they allowed 2 or 3 runs and scored 3 or 4 runs. You're going to have to win games where you're not going to score a ton. You're going to face some very good pitching staffs, some very good pitchers, and I'm not going to blame the Yankees when they can't score 7 runs on Tariq Skubal. You know what I mean? So can you find ways to win even when you cannot score? That is a question for the rotation that I think they'll answer very well. But for the bullpen, it's on Devin Williams, David Bednar, Luke Weaver, Fernando Cruz. Can someone like a Will Warren step up in a bullpen role if he goes there? Can Tim Hill get lefties out? But can Tim Hill also be trusted to not be a complete liability against righties? Because, Sam, what are teams going to do when Tim Hill steps on the mound and they have 3 lefties up? At least one of those guys is going to turn into a righty who kills lefties. So it's on the bullpen. If they are decent, if they get the job done enough times, if when the Yankees roll the dice on Camilo Doval, he gives them the right outcome just once or twice, if when they roll the dice on Tim Hill, he gets the good outcome once or twice. The New York Yankees will go to the World Series. But again, I think that's mainly on the bullpen. And then, for Aaron Judge and for Max Fried too, your two kind of horses in on those two sides of the ball. If they're great, they will win. If they're not great, they will not win. We talked about this before the splits where when Max Fried is struggling, the Yankees struggle. When Max Fried is going well, the Yankees are going well. So for Aaron Judge, that's true as well. And for his legacy too, I think this will be a big one. If he has a big playoff run, Sam, we've talked about this before, it goes from you're a great player to you're a great player who brought a championship to New York, and you're also not just great, you're arguably the best player in baseball over the last half decade, best right-handed hitter we may have ever seen, like those kinds of things. That's when the conversation starts getting scary in a good way for Aaron Judge and his legacy.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, and I said that, if Judge is great in this postseason run, it's legacy cementing, and it kind of changes how we kind of look at Aaron Judge's, kind of career as a whole. But like for Max Fried as well, this is his first year in pinstripes. Like he could make a statement automatically first year with the team and like lead them to the World Series and like do whatever, yada, yada, yada. But, the big thing that is like the focus here is the bullpen, right? Like it's the largest issue with this team. That's kind of what we look at and we're all like, oh, like there's problems there. Like see what we can do, right? I think at the same token, it's also in the starting pitching. I think that, to kind of wrap our conversation of what we've talked about so far kind of all together, I think that your starting pitching, if they're going to give you 6 innings, I think that you can figure out the 7th, and then I think that your 8th and 9th with Williams and Bednar, I think is a recipe for success, right? As important as the bullpen is, I think the starting pitching plays a big factor in that and who you have going in each series. I know that Max and Carlos are going to be able to give you 6, right, which is nice, but like, is Cam going to give you 6 and be nice? Is Heel going to give you 6 and be nice? Is Warren going to give you 6 and be nice? Like, that game 3, starter, like, or game 3 or game 4, like, whichever way they decide to go is so scary because of, can they give you that length so you don't have to completely lean on that bullpen because that unit has struggled so much because we don't trust that unit as a whole right now. But, like, can the starting pitching give you enough length to get there, right? I remember specifically last year, like with Clark Schmidt and Luis Heel, they would give you 4, but then like you had to rely on bullpen for 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That got spooky because you're handing the baton the entire time, right? Like you're handing the baton the entire time. Throughout the course of a series, when you continue to pitch the same relievers, those hitters are going to catch on and they're going to see what you're doing. And towards the back half of the series, they're going to know, oh, this is the certain kind of pitch mix. This is coming up. We're going to be able to rake off this guy. I want to make sure that the starters can give you enough length and get you through so you don't have to heavily rely on the bullpen like you are, like you're thinking about right now, right? Like I think your number one candidate is like Luis Heel. I think Luis Heel's probably only going to give you 4 with like poor command and a ton of walks, but like maybe he won't give up a run. But at that point, then you're kind of relying on the bullpen for 5 innings. So as much as the bullpen is an issue, I think that you really, really, really have to lean on the starting pitching in this postseason run.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be a question of, as you mentioned, starting pitching length, bullpen support, who's going to step up. Can a starter convert to that reliever role? Again, I'm looking at Will Warren, and I'm like, I think that is someone who his role in the postseason is a little bit greater than people think. And it's going to draw a quick parallel here because I wrote an article on this earlier today. Michael King in 2021 started and then went back to the bullpen. And when he came back and was in that bullpen, he was very effective and very helpful for the Yankees. That set up what ended up being a very successful 2022 season, a 2023 season where he then returned as a starter, and then a 2024 season where he established himself as a valuable starting pitcher on this market. So we'll see. I'm not saying Warren's going to become Michael King, but again, does that play in a bullpen role? Heel is definitely where I'm concerned. Game 4 is just where I'm concerned because let's say the Yankees roll with Warren in Game 4, I'm still worried. So Game 4 is my concern game in a best of 7. But last year they got nothing in Game 4 and Game 3 from Schmidt and Heel, and they still went to the World Series. In fact, the only game of the World Series the Yankees won was Game 4. So I'm still concerned about that game, but I don't think this offense can't overcome it. And can the bullpen just step up? Again, Devin Williams, if he's what he's been over the last month, he's been legendary. Hey, man. His bullpen could be special. And again, you get what you need. You had enough guys. You get 5 or 6 guys to get rolling. You're going to be in a good spot. Sam, is there anything you want to add on with this team and their path to a World Series?
Hey, man, it's all about perfect timing. That's all you got to say. It's all
Yeah.
about perfect timing at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, got to be legendary. You know, it's about to get legendary up in here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right?
Again,
Like,
hot at the right time. Bust down your AP. You'll be good.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, we have one final question, and it's from I'm not sure how to pronounce this. It's like Elir. I think it's Elir, Elir, B25. I apologize if I butchered it. Please let me know in the comments. What's your thoughts on Volpe so far? We know he's going to play today. Well, that was on Sunday. So, obviously it's not that they thought we were going to play on the off day. He played on Sunday in a pinch running role and then got 2 plate appearances, got a hit, got an RBI. He's played better as of late, kind of since that benching, resting, I don't know what you want to call it. Obviously, Anthony Volpe's had a bad year, and there's nothing he can do to correct what the numbers are this year. But not to the same tune as Devin Williams, different situations in terms of track record, how long they've been good for over this hot streak, but in the same vein of all sins can be absolved in October. Sam, how do you feel about Anthony Volpe? What's your read on the situation? What do you think he has to do to kind of get back on course for this year and even for his future?
I mean, post-cortisone shot Anthony Volpe is like Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, like, he's been nuts at the plate since he's came back from getting the cortisone shot and sitting down for a little bit. And granted, this is a player that was playing every single day for the past, 2.5 years with no real competition in there. We talked last week about the Cab and how great the Cab's been, and he's still been awesome for this baseball team. But I'm going to look at this team objectively. If every single guy is playing well, I don't care who you are. You're playing well, I'm going to give you your flowers. Keep doing a job, right? Anthony Volpe had a good postseason last year. He was pretty damn good for the Yankees last year in October, man. Like, for Anthony Volpe to kind of absolve his sins, it's kind of what you've been talking about the entire time. It's like winning heals everything. Like, if you win, everybody's happy. I don't care what you're doing, right? I think that for him, it's going to be to play a role. I think he's going to be awesome against left-handed pitching. I think he's going to, him and the Cab are kind of going to go in and out with like what they're doing. And I think that him being good is far better for your baseball team than when he's poor and having to force the Cab every single day, right? We love the Cab. We want to see him play as much as he can. But at the same token, I feel the same way about Anthony Volpe. And the defense has been perfectly fine since he's came back. There's no issues with that whatsoever. Again, you go out, you play good defense, you're okay with the bat. That's fine with me from Anthony Volpe. I don't really care what he's doing at that point, right? I think that, like I said, like, we get this question every single week. Somebody asks us about Anthony Volpe every single week, and my baseline answer is just what I said. You play good defense, you hit decently well. I don't really care what you do outside of that, right? And that's fine. You play a role, you run the bases well. I don't really give a shit. It does not matter to me. We're not going to pile on this guy because he struggled the entire year. That's not fair to him, and that's not fair to the player, right? Like, I think it's BS, but I think that play a role in October. It's kind of all I ask, dude. That's like, it's very hard for me to sit here and just demolish a guy for no reason, right? And we get that question every week, and people have been fed up with Anthony Volpe for the entirety of 2025, but like, we're all fed up with somebody at some point. You know what I mean? Like, I can't sit here and trash this guy for no reason. But he's come back, and he's been great. So keep it going. Like, keep it up. And love what I'm seeing so far, dude. You've been awesome, man. I can't do nothing but give him his flowers since he came back.
I so badly want him to play well. Like, I think his season has been beyond disappointing. He has been an awful defensive player. He has taken step backs in the areas where I've been, I don't know if the word is I've trusted him. Yeah, no, I think the words are I've trusted him so much in those defensive situations as a base runner. He has not been the player he was last year. But I hope he is the player he was last year and better than that. I saw people kind of get at me on, like, I tweeted, love that for Volpe, love it from Volpe, love it for Volpe, after he picked up an RBI hit to give them this, make it 7-1. And guys, this guy's on the Yankees. This guy has no, like, outstanding moral issue that, like I understand not rooting for Oldest Chapman. I get it. I understand feeling weird about Domingo Germán. I get it. But Anthony Volpe is not a bad dude. He's not like a dude who, like, hates the Yankees or whatever it may be. He's on this team. I'm not saying you have to like the guy, but he's been good. He's been good lately. Can he be good for just the rest of the year? Can he give me some at bats? I'm looking at those at bats against lefties. Those are kind of your window because McMahon struggles against lefties. Caballero can hold his own at third. You pray that Volpe can do enough at short. And it gives you open room to maybe play Ahmed Rosario in like right field at Yankee Stadium where it's not too demanding. Or I guess you can't really do that because of Judge. Maybe put him in left. I don't really know. Point is, it gives you some flexibility. You can bring him off the bench. You have to hope that if you bring him off the bench and the game gets tied, or you don't untie the game when you bring him in, that he can hold his own in those games. If he can't, you're going to be screwed. Again, it all comes back to what is best for the New York Yankees. And Sam, what's best for the New York Yankees for everyone to get going? I love the Cab. He has won me over as this fun utility player, but I also understand that's what he is. He is not an 800 OPS player as he has been with the Yankees. So when that comes down, am I going to start crapping on the Cab and telling you he's awful? No, I know what he is. I know what Anthony Volpe should be, and that's a defense-first shortstop who runs the bases well. That's the kind of player I just hope he could be for just 4 or 5 weeks? 4 or 5 weeks. I've said this with contracts. I'll say this with players. Everything is vindicated when you win a title. When you win the World Series, nothing else matters. If Anthony Volpe is a productive player on a World Series winning team in the postseason, it's a success of a draft pick. I'm happy he's on the team. Come back for Old Timers Day in 20 years. That kind of thing. I'm not saying that he's going to go be the player that you all hoped he'd be. But I need him to get right. He has been right as of late, and I hope it continues. I'm rooting for him. Same way with Devin Williams. Even at his peak of frustration, there's never a point in time where I was like, I hope he sucks. There's not a player on this team I go, I hope they suck. I hope everyone's good. I hope everyone balls out, and I hope we can all kind of laugh about the ups and downs, go, man, remember we made all those errors? Remember when Williams blew all those saves? Remember when Rodon wasn't good? We can all laugh at it in the Canyon of Heroes at a parade.
Yeah, I mean, as like people who talk like we do this every single day. Like this is our livelihood. This is our job. Is to sit here and like talk about baseball and do that kind of stuff, right? For us to sit here, we have never like called for a player's head and like have been unbelievably negative towards a player, like some people on the internet are towards Anthony Volpe, and like how some people were towards Devin Williams, but now Devin Williams is shit, right? Like we'll give you credit when you're awesome. You know what I mean? Like us objectively, we'll speak about when a player shouldn't play as much as they should. But like as fans, when you're good, you're good. Nobody cares, right? Anthony Volpe last year in the postseason, I just looked this up. Do you know what Anthony Volpe's WRC plus in the postseason last year was? It was 138. He had a 138 WRC plus in the postseason. He had a 400 OBP in the postseason last year, Ryan. I did not. Like, that was a player that was very, very good in the postseason for you last year. Let me see it again. Let me see it again, Ant. Let's do it again. Like, that's unbelievable. I just looked at this, and I'm shocked. Because, like, I remember that he was good in the postseason last year. I didn't realize it was 138 WRC plus good, though, Ryan. I had no idea. I had no idea that he was an 815 OPS guy in the postseason last year, Ryan. And there were no, like, drastic errors in the postseason last year where you were, like, calling for Volpe's head at shortstop. Play him every day at shortstop. If he's going to give you this in the postseason, play him every single day in October. I don't care. Like, that's awesome production, right? And last year as a whole wasn't, like, some amazing season for him. He was a 3.5 win player, right? Like, it was fine, but he was still a below average hitter and played great defense, okay? This year, different story, but, like, dude, let me see a repeat of this, like, this year in the postseason. It'd be nuts. Are you shocked at that?
I thought it was close to like a 115. I forget. Yeah, he was really good. Like, and it wasn't like it was one round either. He was just hitting all postseason, had the grand slam, but like in the Cleveland series, he had a big hit that like started a rally. And I think game 4 against Clase. Again, I so badly want this team to do it because again, for just like there's so much frustration as fans that we feel over the years where we've seen them go to the playoffs and lose. But like as much frustration as we feel, imagine how much like that weighs on Aaron Judge or Anthony Volpe or Aaron Boone or Brian Cashman, like the people in that room, the people who actually lose, right? Like obviously as fans, we say our team lost, we didn't hit today. And I'm not like, I hate when people go, you can't say you're a fan of the team. You're part of it. But when you actually go through the losing, you know, when you feel it, when you lose every single time, you know, you're a game away in 2019, you're a game or 2 games away in 2019, a game away in 2017. You're a play here, a play there away in the World Series. You see it, you experience some sort of heart-wrenching loss every single year. I hope this group gets it done so bad. I said it last year, but this group specifically, like, think of everything they've dealt with. No Garrett Cole. Clark Schmidt comes back, he helps you, and then he tears his UCL. You go through that slump. Devin Williams can't get right. Weaver gets hurt. He hasn't been right. You trade for all your relievers. They all blow it in one day in Miami in what was an ugly series. Volpe can't get right. His labrum has a partial tear. Wells hasn't been the hitter he was the year prior. For Judge, you almost thought you were going to lose him for the entire year. Stanton loses half of his year. Just so much that has happened to the New York Yankees in 2025. And of course, and I'm going to say this, and I know some people may go, no, I'm not that. I didn't think about it that much. Losing Juan Soto felt like a seismic change in terms of what the Yankees were and their identity. It would be incredible for them to respond to everything with a World Series. It'd be incredible for them to do it. And yeah, I hope this group gets it done. I'm rooting for everyone. I'm rooting every single damn one of those guys. If someone gets hurt and like Pablo Reyes comes back, I hope Pablo Reyes hits 4,000. You know what I mean? Like every single one of those guys, I hope it would make everything sweeter, wouldn't it, Sam? Wouldn't it make everything just that much sweeter if this was somehow the group that got it done?
No, go out there and be legendary. You know what I mean? That's kind of the bottom line, bro. Also, I want to talk about Pablo Reyes. You know what I mean? Like, you know what's crazy is I've never been able to say this in a public sphere, right? When they cut Pablo Reyes, I just want to put this out there. When they cut Pablo Reyes, it shouldn't have been Pablo Reyes. It should have been Oswald Peraza. And now that he's not on the Yankees, I can actually say this, right? Pablo Reyes and Oswald Peraza are like the exact same player, but Pablo Reyes played like 7 different positions, but somehow Oswald Peraza, who's literally like the worst qualified hitter in Yankees history, stayed on that Yankee roster for like 100 games this year, right? I was playing first base for the Angels every single day. Interesting. No further comment on Oswald Peraza, but Pablo Reyes supremacy, that was my boy, dude. He should have stuck on that roster for far longer than he did. I feel so bad for him. But yeah, like just go out there and be legendary, dude. You just brought up my guy's name. I had to say something about Pablo Reyes, bro. That was my dude.
Dude, I thought Pablo Reyes was gonna be that fun like spark plug player, and it's funny because I think Jose Caballero again has filled that role of like, or I would even say the Med Rosario in terms of vibes guy.
Yeah.
Like a Med Rosario is like an 80 grade vibes guy, and also very good against lefties. I love a Med Rosario. I want a Med Rosario to like be a Yankee next year. Like that's where I'm at with him. He's legendary, man.
He is
Legendary.
Come on, dude.
But Sam, any final notes on this team, on this mailbag? Anything else?
Hey, man, everybody just go out there and be legendary. That's all I ask you to do, bro. Every day is an opportunity to be great. Go be 1-0 today. You know, go be incredible. Yanks, let's go win a goddamn World Series, bro. Let's do it, boys. A lot of smiles on my face right now. Yanks playing good baseball. Football's going well. Like, we're having a lot of fun, dude. Like, come on, bro. That's all you got to do. Go out there and be legendary today. My word of advice, bro. That's it.
Hey, the next time you guys see us do a mailbag, we will know when the Yankees will play in the postseason. I guess because it hasn't been decided whether they'll go or not, but I think it's very likely that they will. We'll know who they'll play, and I think it's the day before the postseason starts. So this will be this is not like, all right, we're looking to the far future. We're looking like a week ahead. So This is really an exciting, nerve-wracking, all those emotions time. I want to thank again everyone who submitted questions. You guys are great. You guys are legendary. Continue submitting questions. Even if you weren't featured, we thank you. And continue submitting questions. Hey, you never know if yours is going to be the one that gets picked. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're like, where can I submit questions? The Instagram. Go follow the Fireside Yankees Instagram. We'll do some more mailbags. We've got more stuff coming out. And again, the next one will be the playoff one. We'll hope it's not the only one that they do while the Yankees are in the postseason. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys can check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course our YouTube page at Fireside Yankees. You can also check us out on our personal Twitter accounts. Those are above our heads. The website, which contains our written work for the Yankees and all of your favorite New York sports teams, is empiresportsmedia.com. And we'll see you guys the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Let's go Yankees, and peace out.